Another early morning gym run today, Friday. Probably not the worst day of the week for it. Heading into the weekend. Uh, Get the day started right. Get my get my workout in early and get a good start to the day. Um, Good time to talk about what I call the kind of the silent battle with autism. Depending on where you are on the spectrum, that battle can play out in different ways. When uh, when you're higher functioning, Asperger's, what they no longer refer to as Asperger's syndrome, but high functioning autism, uh, that can play out kind of silently. It doesn't. It's not always something that's visible. As a matter of fact, that's kind of the point. Most of us that are high functioning tend to mask. We uh, tend to hide that side of us away from the rest of the world. You know, we want to come off as neurotypical. I mean, that's really what masking is about. You know, you're not neurotypical, but you want to fit in. You want to appear normal per se. It's not always easy. So the silent battle is what goes on behind the scenes. Things that people don't see, struggles that you're having. Not to say that everybody doesn't have struggles, but um, I think from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, if you're autistic, whether you're high functioning or you're on a different part of the spectrum, um, depending upon what you're doing, you're trying to get through the day. You're spending a lot of mental energy as a byproduct of doing that, uh, and it's something that most people don't see with high functioning autistic adults. They're intentionally trying to keep that part to themselves as best they can. Um, Most of us do a pretty good job. Uh, for myself, in a work setting or in a social setting, I think it's those are the times where I'm going to tend to mask more. It's going to be the times where uh, that you don't want the rest of the world to see that, see the struggle that you might be going through. So you do your best to keep that at bay and keep it behind the curtains. Uh, some days we do better jobs than others, obviously, depending on the situation. Um, for myself, I think the challenge has always been that you know I do I work so hard during the day in public in situations, masking uh, and doing what I do to get through the day, uh, and do it to the best of my ability. I think when you get home and you're starting to decompress, home is it's your safe place. It's where, uh, in my case, where your family knows you're autistic, and they're accepting of that. But they pay a bigger price for that, I think, because of that, the fact that we can be comfortable at home around our family, and we kind of take our mask off, so to speak. I don't know if we ever take it off completely, but we take it off to the degree that it allows us to kind of decompress uh, and kind of deal with what's happened during the day. But your family pays a price for that. My family pays a price for that because I spend so much mental energy dealing with the rest of the world that I don't have much left over for them. Um, when I get home at the end of the day, after talking and doing certain things during the course of any given day, when I get home, last thing I want to do is have more conversation. Not that I don't want to speak with my family, but I'm mentally exhausted. Not just from the social interactions, but work itself. I mean, uh, the job I have is a clinical billing administrator. It's something I love. I'm good at it, but it's demanding in its own right. I've had jobs, corporate jobs, computer programming, management, various levels, um, all challenging jobs. This one, uh, in terms of management is not is people management is not as much, but in terms of the demands of the job and what it takes and the knowledge I need to have and keeping up with things and being able to multitask is every bit as challenged as it was when I was managing managing systems group for the brokerage firm I used to work for. So uh, it's a different job, but it's every bit as demanding. So, in addition to the social interactions and the little things that we're working on during the day, you actually have your job. Your job, you got to expend a lot of mental energy if you're going to do a good job. Um, which I always try to put my best foot forward every day. Takes a lot out of you. So, you know, for myself, I know my family pays a high price because when I get home, I'm kind of spent most days. Uh, my granddaughter is almost should be 2 in a few months. She I swear she's the light of my world. Um, but I find it's easier for me if when I come home and she's there, um, just that spark I get from her being there, and that's not to mean I don't get a spark from my wife or my boys or my daughter-in-law. Um, but her youth and energy is a different kind of spark. It's something it's I mean, young children bring that out in you. I mean, the enthusiasm, and just their cuteness. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. If I see her when I get home, it's it's much easier for me. I kind of, I'm in pop mode. She calls me pop. You know, I immediately, and I look forward to that. When if I get home early and she's still home, I mean that's to me that it's the best part of the day, and it's easier for me um, to make that transition because it's something I look forward to. Um, and unless I've had a really bad day, unless there's something really bad going on, there's nothing else that would impact uh, that moment or that time with her. Uh, and it makes things a lot easier when I transition when I get home. Transitions are a word we use a lot uh, with autism. You're transitioning uh, from one task to another, from one place to another. Transitioning is a big part of autistic life. Uh, I think most adults, they all go through transitioning uh, when they're leaving work on their way home from work, and they get home. Everybody's transitioning, but I think there's an extra layer to that when you're autistic because it takes on a whole new meaning. Transitioning is something that's very important to us because we're going from one environment or one situation to another. Uh, and we have to prepare ourselves for that. We don't always transition. Some of us transition better than others. Some of us transition better in certain circumstances. For me, that transition when I get home and my granddaughter's there, or if other members of my family are there and it's been a good day and we've got a lot to share, that to me is a easy transition because it's positive and it's something I look forward to, and it does make that a lot easier. We really are kind of the masters of our own destiny, and I think we forget that sometimes. For myself, I know even if I'm tired mentally or physically when I get home from work, uh, it's important for me to remember. It's important for everybody to remember that you really can't. It's really important that you continue, even if you're lacking the mental energy, to continue to have those positive interactions because your family deserves that too. Not just coworkers or strangers that you see that you're being nice to throughout the day. Um, you're doing that. I mean, that's social etiquette. You know, we know we're supposed to do that. Uh, just because you're comfortable around your family doesn't mean that they deserve less attention or that you can kind of shirk on that responsibility. Um, I'm guilty of that more often than I'd like to admit, but it's something that I'm working on. Uh, it's something I'm aware of. It's something I work on every day to make sure that the interactions I have with people during the day are always positive. There's a lot of negativity in this world. I firmly believe uh, that the things we do each day as individuals uh, can make other people's lives easier. Can make it can make their whole experience better. Uh, because if we have a terrible interaction with somebody and that could impact their day, as much as it may impact ours, a negative interaction you have with anybody, is gonna take a toll on both of you, on both parties involved. So for my part, I always strive to have positive interactions with people, um, even under stressful circumstances, even if it's something that maybe, it's something that doesn't sit well with me or is something that bothers me, I still try to have that positive interaction because I got to realize that it's just one interaction. It's not the end of the world. There could be, everybody has their own circumstances. So I give people the benefit of the doubt. But I think we have to realize that our family deserves as much positive interaction and deserves as much of our time, physical energy and mental energy as anybody else. So uh, even if it even if it is exhausting, and even if you've had a stressful day, um, you know, it's important to continue that when you get home because uh, it may drain us it may be more draining for us, but it's more positive for us in the end. Our mental health is something that's always important, and the daily interactions, whether it's with coworkers, people you come in contact each day with, uh, or members of your family, you know, it can really it can impact your evening, it can impact the next day. If you had really good day and you had positive interactions with people, family, friends, coworkers, uh, and just people that you interact with, even that aren't part of your normal daily circle. Um, You'll find the next day is gonna be a little easier to get through because you've got that positive day behind you. It's when we have the setbacks, that we tend to wind up having issues. Unfortunately, I had a extremely negative interaction with somebody yesterday, happened to be a total stranger. Um, I won't bore you with the details, but it was an extremely negative, interaction. Uh, it didn't impact me when I got home, but it bothered me enough to talk about it this morning because, like I said, I believe that we should be striving to make sure that we're doing our part to have those positive interactions, and uh, you're all responsible uh, for for the way that we communicate with the world. Sometimes we don't always communicate positively to others, and sometimes others don't communicate positively to us. There's only so much that we can control. For my part, I like to say that um, that we use the word people pleaser. Autistic people tend to be people pleasers because we want to be seen as we want to be seen as equals. We want to uh, go above and beyond because that's what it takes. uh, we have to work harder to achieve the same level of success as some neurotypical people. Um, but we have to remember that everyone we interact with, they've got their own situations going on. Even if you're not autistic, you've got your own stuff going on, and you should obviously be doing everything you can to be uh, seeking positive interactions. But I think that, in light of what I encountered yesterday, um, my philosophy has always been, and it continues. I build on this. This is something I'm aware of as I get older. Uh, I've had my own shortcomings with being short tempered. If it's something that bothers me, that somebody asked me to do, you got to remember it's just, whether it's part of the job or it's just part of what you're doing, as a normal interaction with another human being. Uh, can't stress enough the importance of trying to make each one of those connections positive. Um, if you use the word "pay it forward," you can do that just by your actions, and just just by um, you never know how you're going to impact somebody else's day. If you're negative to them, that's going to impact them. It may impact somebody else beyond that. It's as a culture, as a people, as a species. I think we should all be doing our best uh, to be as positive with one another as possible. Um, Yesterday, I wasn't in total control of the situation. For my part, I really, for the negative interaction, I handled it about the best as I could. Um, it didn't impact anything else beyond that. I got home, I saw my granddaughter Riley. Things went great. My son helped me with some work I needed to have done on my truck. And again, it's even though he was helping out working on the truck, and I was talking to my wife, my sons, my daughter-in-law, interacting with my granddaughter. It was such a it was really a meaningful evening. And after that negative interaction, which happened shortly before I got home, uh, it meant a lot to have that and know that I transitioned positively, and that negative interaction really didn't uh, impact me. So sometimes, if we can, we get better at it. Use the way we handle things, and it's on any given day. It could be different, but we should all be striving for that. So we're gonna get our early work in at Anytime Fitness. We're going to be having the owner Michelle on upcoming episode. Michelle is going to speak not only to the importance of physical fitness, but how physical fitness impacts mental fitness and mental health. If you're feeling good physically, uh, odds are that that's going to help you mentally. The two are always connected. If you're uh, if you're and I'm not saying you have to be a marathon runner or you need to be an Olympic athlete. Everybody's got their own level of fitness. But if you're doing your part and your fitness level you're comfortable with. For me, I find that physical fitness aspect helps balance things out for me mentally, and the two are interconnected without a doubt for all of us. If you're not in a positive frame of mind, or you're not feeling good about your fitness, uh, you know, it can really impact your mental health. So, we're gonna dive into that hopefully in a few weeks with Michelle. As a as a industry expert in fitness, she's such a good person to have to speak about that topic, and I really can't wait to speak with her. But until then, we're gonna get in Anytime Fitness. It's 4 o'clock now. It's 4 a.m. Yeah, it's 4 a.m. It's still dark. You can see it. My normal treadmill's open. There aren't as many crazy people here on Friday morning. Um, but we're gonna get in there. We'll get on the treadmill, and we'll continue our conversation in a few minutes. All right, we're inside now. Got a pretty good sweat going on. Been running for a few minutes now. Uh, so before I mentioned have I thought I had a negative interaction with somebody yesterday. I should clarify, in case it didn't earlier, that was a total stranger. It was not a family member. It wasn't uh, anybody at work. Total stranger. So just wanted to make that clear. um, Another reason I got started on this topic, aside from that, well, it was related to my negative interaction yesterday. Is fight or flight, and how it pertains to autism. Uh, I think a lot of a lot of people on the spectrum, especially high functioning uh, people that are aware of the fact and can do something about it, uh, to change the perception of themselves, uh, as somebody that's neurodiverse. So, speaking about trying to overcome some of those things, masking, fight or flight becomes an important topic because it's largely going to dictate, as it does with most people, how the rest of your life is going to go. Are you going to give in? Are you going to flee as a natural response, or are you going to fight? That doesn't mean a physical fight, but are you going to pursue and fight for what you want? Uh, that's important. It's an important concept as it pertains to somebody, particularly as high functioning, is that's going to have a direct impact on how successful they are, uh, and how they handle situations going forward. I mentioned earlier, autistic people tend to be people pleasers. We want to be perceived as equals to our peers, if not better. But it takes twice as much effort to achieve that mentally and physically. We have challenges we have to overcome, and to achieve the same level of success as somebody who's neurotypical is going to take a lot more. Going to take a lot more discipline or something on the spectrum. So fight or flight. There are several instances in my own life where fight or flight has really played out, and it has had a profound impact on who I am and where I am today. If I gave up at every little setback, if I let everything that people say about me go to heart and take it personally, I never would have. I know I wouldn't be the person I am today. So, the fight, as you will, at some point we decide which path we're going to take. You're going to take the path of least resistance, or you're going to climb the mountain and take the path of more resistance. Uh, Obviously, least resistance is easier. If it's easy, you can sit back in the shadows, blend in, bide your time. But it wouldn't be as rewarding for somebody who's climbing a mountain, taking on challenges, who wants to fight to improve themselves. And not only that, but improve the perception of autistic people. As somebody who is openly autistic, I don't walk around with a sign on my shirt, but for people that know me, depending on who they are and how and what capacity I'm interacting with them, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed by the fact that I'm autistic. Like I said, I don't tell everybody I meet. Uh, that's not the way I am. But so in my own life, uh, as far as the fight task goes, um, one thing that kind of started me on this road. When I was 18, I tried to join the Navy, passed my tests, failed my physical. Wasn't for fitness that I failed; it was for my eyesight being colorblind partially, and also uh, I have sufficient hearing loss. Uh, so so the Navy wouldn't have me. Armed services wouldn't have me. Uh, they still have me. I appealed that decision, lost my appeal. I still have a letter at home in a frame. Kind of, I've always used it as motivation. Personally, I think that serving a country is uh, one of the best things you could do. I unfortunately didn't have that opportunity. Um, Having said that, if I had that opportunity, my life could be drastically different than it is today. And I wouldn't want that. As far as I'm concerned, my life had worked out with best that it could. But it's not over yet. And I'm happy. I think that's important. Uh, of course, self-satisfaction, and that's an important piece of it. Okay, so the gym got crowded, so finished out my hour and a half, and figured I'd finish up this episode on the way home, out of respect for my fellow gym members. So got a good work in. Like I said, 90 minutes, not bad for a Friday. Where I left off, so we were talking about fight or flight, the path you could take. So like I said, the original plan was to be in the Navy out of high school, and that didn't come to pass. So plan B really didn't formulate for a while. It took a couple of years. I worked a couple of regular jobs, and college just really wasn't for me. Not at that point anyway. So I finally got to the point where I did want to go back to school, went back to trade school, uh, went to become a computer programmer. And that worked out well. It was always a good career. I did 20 plus years, closer to 23 years in data processing. Uh, that was what I did for the majority of my career. I remember early on, my first job out of school, I was working for a company in New Jersey, and it was a snowstorm coming one day, and they gathered us all up, and they're sending certain staff home, and uh, the way they phrased it was non-essential personnel are allowed to go home, and essential personnel are needed to stay. Well, I had only been there a couple months at that point. I knew I was non-essential personnel, but that tag and that label, that was something that didn't sit well with me. Even though it was true, I didn't like the sound of that. I didn't like the taste of that. And that always stuck with me. I never wanted to be considered non-essential personnel. Since that day, really, uh, that one simple snow day, it's, I was always a hard worker, but it really, even more so after that. I mean, I really worked to prove myself in any position I've ever held. Um, and that was really one of the reasons I never wanted to be called non-essential personnel again. Um, so, uh, so that was, that was something that stuck with me early on. Again, but we talk about the fight or flight. That instinct, that feeling that I had that I did not want to be non-essential personnel. Uh, that tells you a lot about my makeup and kind of not only what I was at that point, but what I would continue to be throughout the rest of my life. That kind of set the tone. Um, those that know me and read my book, I'm no stranger to violence. Violence was a common theme when I was younger. I was I grew up with autism. I didn't know I was autistic. I was close enough to being normal that I didn't fit in, but I wasn't considered uh, to have any kind of condition. There was nothing, I was just different than everybody else. And for that, I was always big for my age. So, I had a couple things that were not working in my favor. Um, and it always perplexed me as someone who was big for my age, and people would pick on me, it always worked out badly for them. It really it really taught me to be aggressive, and I'm not an aggressive person by nature, but the constant need to defend myself turned me into an aggressive person when I was younger. And it's something that's still to this day, like I said, it's ingrained in me, that instinct, that fight. Uh, when I talk about fight or flight these days, I don't talk about physical fighting. I talk about the will to fight, the will to continue, the will to persevere. I mean, in that vein, when I was younger, it literally did mean fight. And it meant standing up for yourself. And I had to do that almost every day. It was, again, with all the other challenges I had, school was never easy for me. I'm a visual learner. I learn better. I've always learned better on the job. I've always learned better in certain situations. Um, I never really had good grades, but I wasn't stupid either. People knew that, acknowledged it, and that made the whole problem even worse. Nobody could figure out, uh, what was the root of my issue? Was I just a poor student? You know, I mean, you could usually tell when somebody's smart or dumb, or whether they have intelligence, or they're lacking that. I never lacked intelligence per se, um, but physical learning was always difficult. And again, that was another thing that led to bullying and violence. The fact that I was a poor student. These things all factored into making me an easy target. But like I said, as being one of the biggest kids in the grade, almost until I got to high school, I never understood the wisdom of picking on the big kid. Uh, Usually people pick on somebody smaller than them, but in retrospect, I think those people saw me as inferior. My size had nothing to do with it. They thought I was an easy target. Maybe mentally, they thought I was just going to give in, or I was going to be um, somebody that was, just going to go along and just take whatever they dished out. And that was not going to be the case. It never was then. It hasn't been till this day. Um, no matter whether it's sticking up for myself, in certain situations, not meaning fighting these days, but asserting myself when necessary. Um, Again, from an early age, that was, uh, although it started with, uh, on a path of physical violence. As I matured, it turned it into, a resolve, something, where I wasn't going to take any bull from anybody. And I don't seek conflict. Like I said, I've only started one fight in my life, but I finished quite a few. I don't seek out conflict. I'm not a person that goads somebody. I'm not somebody that goes looking for trouble. But trouble always seemed to find me nonetheless. So when I talk about fight or flight and the path you're going to take, whether you're going to blend in and be a wallflower, or whether you're going to stick up for yourself and you're going to climb a mountain, I don't mean that either one of those is wrong. Somebody that wants to blend in, uh, and they and that's natural. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm not advocating one over the other, um, but I believe in my heart that the choosing to assert yourself and climb the mountain, so to speak, is more rewarding in the end than I think. Again, that's a mentality where you're trying to push yourself, regardless of what obstacles are being placed in front of you. And it's not been an easy road. That mentality. Um, when I was, uh, I reached a point in my career in data processing where I was, after being with companies 22 years, things were not going in the right direction. The company was bought out. There was a lot of turnover. Um, the company that it was at that point was not the company that I had joined, that hired me and treated me well over the first 15 or 16 years of my career. Corporate America was changing in that time. Uh, uh, I battled depression during that time, and my job was kind of the catalyst behind that because my job was, I mean, it was everything. It was the means by which I support my family. It was an important part of my identity. So yeah, it did lead to some pretty severe depression at that point. I ultimately wound up leaving that job. It was kind of toxic, um, and that's kind of scary when you get to that point. Yeah, it was 2019. I was 49 at that point. Um, my kids were still in school. To leave a job like that after so many years, to pursue a different path is, again, it's a scary place to be in your life. It's uh, not something looking back. I mean, it's been a long road since then. Um, but I always believe that these events and the path that you choose in life, you have to be true to yourself. If you don't feel that you're on the right path, um, it's important that you have the courage uh, to kind of start over again if you need to. Yeah, it's scary. Nobody knows that better than me. But if you're going to be true to yourself, staying on a path that's not healthy for you it's detrimental. That, even though it's been a tough road since then, uh, you know, it would have been a miserable road, and it would have been untenable at some point. I have no doubt about that. So, um, although the choice was mine to leave, I don't have any regrets because I know it was gonna end in disaster if I ended up staying there. So, um, but again, it's taken a number of years. It's been 7 years since that day, just a little over 7 years, and it hasn't life has not been easy. Uh, I've been on a quest, so to speak, looking for the place where I was meant to be. Being the clinical billing administrator for an autistic school clinic, um, seeking this out is something that I, as the years went on, and these past, well, at that point it was 5 years. It was something that I sought out actively. Um, I knew that that was what I wanted to do at that point. I wanted to work in that environment. I wanted to, and I knew it was something I could succeed at. It wasn't quite as lucrative as what I had been doing, um, but uh, it was. I still believe it was leading me. Uh, that the road was leading there. That was the correct path. That was. Uh, I think this is where I was meant to be. And now having the opportunity to work on the podcast, again, that's not something that I was able to foresee. It's not something that was on the radar. Not something I ever really gave much thought to, but as I think about where my road is going, the school and the clinic and the podcast uh, are very much entwined. These roads merge here, and it's important to me. As part of the podcast, my son Shane, who's co-hosting with me, not right this moment, but he'll be he co-hosted our last episode, and he'll be co-hosting our weekly episode. Uh, he's The podcast is the means by which he's employed. He's been an underemployed autistic adult since he graduated college. Uh, and that It's been a long road for him too. He's intelligent, he has skills, um, but he's looking for the right fit, and this is a perfect fit for him. So, but the Autistic Mile, and by extension, Autistic Mile Productions, which is the production arm. That's the company that I started that employs Shane. Uh, and that's the company that we produce the Autistic Mile. The Autistic Mile is the podcast. We have music that I've created, or have the books that I've written. We're doing a podcast, so it encompasses. There's a lot of creativity with this project. I'm going to continue to write new songs and produce those. Right now, I don't have the time for another book, even though I have one started. The songs are the music, and the songs that I write lyrics for are a little more conducive to my schedule at this point. So I'll continue on that path, and the podcast is very creative, and it's a good outlet. But again, Autistic Mile Productions, uh, by extension of the production that we do with the Autistic Mile, is meant to not only employ my son Shane, but the ultimate goal is to employ and train other autistic individuals and autistic adults. Um, this is supposed to serve a higher purpose. The podcast is good. We want this to be meaningful content. But again, there's a higher purpose. We want this to be the catalyst behind a larger effort, um, to be able to employ and pay a living wage uh, to autistic adults. It's a real problem, and it's one that we want to help solve. Um, so that's really why I'm here doing the podcast. As uncomfortable as it could be in certain moments, it's not my sweet spot by any stretch of the imagination. It's not. I don't necessarily seek the limelight. So, but I would do it for my son. I would do it for my fellow brothers and sisters on the spectrum. Uh, you know, I could be a guiding force. And again, at the beginning of this episode, we talk about positivity, being positive in your interactions, but also um, the actions that you take and the things that you do, the things that we do in life. Um, those having positive results is very important. So, uh, the theme of positivity and interactions with others, and also for not only what we do for ourselves, but what we do for others, trying to again extend that, and paint it with a broader brush so that we can. Uh, we're always compassionate to people that are neurodiverse, but we want to be positive in the actions we're taking, that we can be an example for employers going forward, small businesses going forward, um, that understand that autistic adults have so much to offer, um, especially in something as creative as what we're doing with the podcast. There's no better fit really for somebody on the spectrum. With the merchandise that we'll be doing that we've already started doing. Uh, we have on our website autisticmile.com. We have Autistic Mile merchandise, and we're building that brand. Again, it's all centered around a positive message, and it's a little different than some of the products that are available now. This is something that's specific to the Autistic Mile. But the Autistic Mile, in addition to being a podcast, uh, it's really a way of thinking. The Autistic Mile is it's really a mindset. It's a way of life. Um, it's a metaphor, but there's so much more behind it. It is a metaphor, but it's something we all live with. So the Autistic Mile is meant to, um, it really is a lifestyle. And we want to promote that. We want to promote the positivity. We don't want people to, if you're autistic, you know, don't be afraid to wear a shirt that says you're autistic. Um, but we want to do it in a positive manner. The merchandise that we produce, although it has our logo on it, the Autistic Mile, the message and the imagery is all positive and focused. And that's important to me uh, as the owner of Autistic Mile Productions and the Autistic Mile podcast. Anything that we do, we want to do it in a positive manner. So, uh, the interactions and our actions and the fruits of our labor, we all want those to be positive and benefit the neurodiverse community. Uh, I hope I hope that's something that will resonate with people, that we're not just another podcast. The information that you'll find here is going to be different. It's going to be unique, hopefully. We're going to do some different types of segments so that uh, you're going to get content that's not always in the same format. Uh, as far as my hosting abilities, although they're unpolished, they're authentic, if nothing else. Hopefully that translates, and hopefully our audience finds that meaningful, uh, and they find hopefully everybody can find something that resonates with them. Not every episode is going to resonate with everybody, but hopefully the content we're putting out and the message that we're trying to establish will resonate with people. That's my hope, because we do want to help other autistic individuals. We want to employ as many people as we can. We want to expand this project. And part of that is also training young autistic people so that they're prepared for tomorrow. Like I said before, the autistic children of today are the autistic adults of tomorrow. Uh, we need to be doing all that we can to make sure that uh, not only we're addressing their needs as children and meeting them where they are now, but preparing for when they become adults. That's Although in my capacity at JSA and what I do, uh, that focuses on children and adolescents. The Autistic Mile, well, the training that we do and uh, the vocational training we do is meant to focus on students, and that the employment that we do is meant to focus on adults. So we're focused on both. So we want to kind of take the mantle and run with that and be an extension so that when these kids start hitting milestones, 18, 19, they get to be 22, that we can have an impact, and maybe uh, we can have other companies follow our lead so that we can better serve the autistic adults of tomorrow. So that is my hope. But again, it's everything we want it to all be positive. That's my message this morning. Positive. What happened yesterday is behind us. Every day you get a fresh start. You wake up every morning, you got a brand new day ahead of you. How you tackle that and what you do that day, it really is up to each one of us. we should be putting our best foot forward. I know I try to do that every day. Um, and I think for the most part, I do succeed in that effort. And that's how I like it. I want to be focused on that and make sure that I'm setting a good example. Because as a somewhat elder statesman of the autistic community, um, it's my responsibility to set the tone for others. So I take that responsibility seriously, and I hope that again other people will follow that and it will resonate with them. So um, that's about it for today. We got another episode we're going to be taping this weekend. Shane will be back with us as my co-host, and I'm sure he'll have his own interesting insight that he likes to share. I'll have my own. We're looking to book more guests, so we'll be having some new content that's more interview style. We're still going to do. Uh, some of this other content. So, like I said, we're going to mix it up some, uh, and hopefully you'll find that refreshing. So, until next time, this is Jim Gaffney. Stay positive and have a great day.